Hello everyone, this is Farzin, and in this channel I talk about programming stuff. If you already watched my authentication and basic authentication and authorization videos, in the last three video we talked about basic authentication and authorization. We created our basic application, and right now our application has basic form authentication. So right now we want to add support for external authentication to our .NET Core application. Before we start coding and going to the project, I would like to talk a little bit about some concepts and some theoretical concepts, and explain how external authentication works. If you remember from our last video, we have something like authentication handler, which is a which is abstraction around authentication. Uh, in that hierarchy, we have another specific type of handler, which is called remote authentication handler. This remote authentication handler is a base class for implementing remote authentication handler, remote external authentication. This base class contains three main method or step. Uh, the first one is we need kind of challenge AC challenge. Which like our authentication handlers, which we are able to send our authentication token to the remote authentication provider, and from that point that remote authentication provider is able to uh, capture the user's credentials and return back that credential to our application. So we need another provider, another part, which is called callback endpoint. Callback endpoints is responsible to receive back the capture user, the user credential, the user identity, and process that protocol in the response from external authentication provider. And there is another part which is sign out uh, request. Not all external authentication providers, but some of them they provide this sign out method to kind of when our job is done, we are able we are able to send that sign out request to the external provider to sign out that user. Another thing is, if we look at external authentication providers, we have two buckets, two specific types. One of them is proprietary providers like Google, Facebook, Twitter, Microsoft. That we have a specific remote authentication provider for them. Another type is a standard protocols for authentication providers. We have OpenID Connect, WS Federation, and SAML. WS Federation is kind of, it's not that much used right now in these days. OpenID is very commonly used for supporting authentication providers. So that's it about external authentication provider. Right now, we can go to our code base and add external authentication provider to our code. First step, we need in our login page, we need a link to call that. I mean that external provider. In other words, challenge that external provider so that user is able to kind of being redirected to that external provider and is able to process the login. In the login page, I'm going to add new link to sign in with Google with the return URL. And what we are going to do, we need to add new razor page, which is called Google. And when the user tries to log in with, I mean, here in, I mean, when this page is caught, we need to kind of challenge that external provider. But how? The first step is, we need to add the reference for Google external authentication provider. So here in my application, I'm going to find Microsoft authentication ASP.NET Core ASP.NET Core authentication. Yeah, this one. I need to add this authentication provider, this authentication, Google authentication to my project. So when you add this Google authentication handler, I mean, NuGet package to your code, here inside your, you have access to Google authentication uh, provider. So, like our cookie authentication, first step is adding, defining name for our new handler, and after that, like cookie, next step is providing settings for this new handler. We have couple of settings for the new handler, and the first one is client ID. I'm gonna explain what is client ID and why you need this client ID in a second. And then another one is client secret. So in order to be able to, have access to this external authentication provider, you need, this external authentication provider needs to know which client is trying to access to this external provider. So we need this client ID and client secret. There are other things that we need to set up, and it's very good to know about them. One of them is callback paths. So these callback paths, if you remember when I talked about callback endpoint. Um, any new external authentication provider has to set up this callback path, and that external provider that should know where to return the user information. So by default for Google, this callback path is is signing sign in dash Google. As I told you, it is by default, it is set to this. If you want to change this callback path, you have to set it. But I mean, by default, it is sign in Google. Another thing is this external authentication provider is just responsible for returning back for redirecting to the external provider, and after that receiving the user identity in this signing in this callback path. After that, we need a mechanism. I mean, we need to pass this information to. I mean, hand off this information to another uh, handler, which is responsible I mean, to save this information inside the cookie and uh, pass it in by cookie. So we have this sign-in scheme, which we can define which authentication it should be passed to which authentication handler. Right now, our Google authentication handler is configured, but we need to provide client ID and client secret for this Google authentication handler. In order to um, add new client to Google, you have to go to this address console cloud Google. Uh, so here inside the credential, you can add new authentication client. I already added. But as soon as you create your authentication client, you have client ID and client secret. Another thing is here in the authorized redirect URL, you have to define when the authentication is done, which it should be redirected to which address. It is the same address that I showed you here in uh, in the when we were configuring our authentication handler. So right now I can copy my client ID and go here and copy client secret, paste it here. At this point, our the Google authentication handler is configured, and we can call. I mean, challenge this new authentication provider. And another thing that I need to set is because if you see here, I set local host 5001 to redirect your. So here in the launch, I need to have exactly same address. Oh, sorry. To redirect. Okay. The next step that we need to do is in the challenge in the Google. When user clicks on this link, we need to challenge our external authentication provider. So here I have action result task, and I have return URL here. One thing that here I can do is I can call HTTP context challenge async as my specific authentication handler. So by this, I can challenge, but I have we have easier way in Razor Pages to challenge. We can use this method challenge. So this is more convenient to use. Just one thing that I have to check. So yeah, it is Google. Okay, but if you remember, when the challenge is completed, we need to return back uh, our user to the page that was called. I mean, the page that needed that authentication. I mean, has had that authorization requirement, so it needed that authentication. If you remember, we could use, I mean, if you remember from our login page, here we could use local redirect, but inside this local redirect, how it is uh, finding that this is the URL is local URL is we can use URL. I mean, here we can check if local, and then uh, I mean, this is just for demo. I mean, you shouldn't throw an exception here. You have to log. I mean, log the information here, and after that, return true or false to do further actions. But because right now I'm demoing, um, I just threw an exception. And how you are going to redirect to the URL is by prop. Um so you can use this authentication properties to pass the return URL to this challenge. So Okay. At this point, we configured our Google authentication, and it is a. I mean, right now, user is able to log in by Google. If I run my application, sorry, let me run it inside inside. Okay, here. Okay, if I try to reach one of my secure pages, I go to login page, and right now I have this new link to sign in with Google. And oh, sorry, something is not working. Account Google, return account Google. What is not working? So I have Google in my login page. Mm-hmm. ASP.NET Route. Wait. Uh, sorry. Okay. Let me run it again. Let me run it again. Oh, okay. Okay. I found where is the issue. The problem. Okay, that's a good case. The problem is because here, when I created this login page, this Google page, it should be allow anonymous, because if it's not anon, it's not. I mean, because all my endpoints are protected by this require authorization. So when unprotected, I mean, anonymous user tries to reach this page, it is again redirecting back to the login page. That's why in the first time it was not working. Okay, if I go and try again, sorry, let me close this. And okay, I try to go to secure page. Okay, okay, another issue. No authentication handler is registered for the scheme Google. Okay, another issue. Another issue. That's good because uh, at least we can know find out how we can fix issues. The problem was here when I tried to challenge in. I didn't write down correct authentication handler. So let me try it again. Okay, see, uh, I because at this point I'm already logged in with my Google account. It redirected me to my Google account, and after that, because it was already logged in this browser, it returned back me to the secure page, and you see, I have all my claims that are specific to my Google account. Okay, in the next video, I will talk a little bit more in advance about external authentication and how we can transfer to this. I mean, work more in advance with these claims and transfer them to our internal website claims. Thank you.